Today marks the third day of my confinement in the cellar. This is the price of falling in love with Sam. He staged his own kidnapping, locking me down here, just so he could hold a grand wedding with his white moonlight, his unattainable true love. On the fourth day, heavy rain suddenly poured down outside. Water kept seeping through the cracks, rising higher and higher. Just as I was about to drown, someone lifted the thick stone slab and pulled me out. When I came to, I was surrounded by people. Sam was among them. Frowning, he asked in a tone full of irritation, "Where have you been these past few days? Always vanishing without a trace. When will you ever learn to be as sensible as Eva?" Confused, I stared at him. "Who are you and where's my fiancé?" Chapter 1. When the doctor informed us that I might have amnesia, Sam visibly let out a sigh of relief. My parents, who had looked anxious before, were actually worried that I'd go after their younger daughter once I got out of that cellar. After all, I'd always been stubborn and vengeful since childhood. But upon hearing I'd lost my memory, their expressions changed instantly. They scolded me instead. "You've done plenty of wicked things. Being kidnapped is only what you deserve. Hopefully, this will teach you some reflection." After saying that, they didn't even ask about my condition, they just left. Still dazed, I heard Sam speak in a cautious tone. "You really don't remember anything?" He suspected that the doctor and I had conspired to fake the amnesia, hoping to gain his sympathy. The way he looked at me made my skin crawl, as if I were something filthy. I snapped back impatiently. "Are you something so important that I must remember you?" He took that as me playing hard to get and sneered coldly. "Forget it then. From start to finish, it was all your one-sided obsession." With that, he turned and left. Over the next week, most of my memories gradually returned, except for anything related to Sam, as if every trace of him had been erased from my mind. When my best friend heard I was hospitalized, she flew back from abroad immediately. But when I told her that I truly didn't remember who Sam was, her eyes screamed, "Do you really expect me to believe that bullshit?" Even my best friend assumed I was pretending, playing the hard-to-get card again. Was I really that pathetic before, clinging desperately to a man who only looked at me with disgust? Maybe I've been possessed by some transmigrated heroine from another world. Seeing me lost in thought, my friend sighed. "If you're using this trick just to get his attention, don't bother. Sam's heart is harder than stone. He won't show you even a shred of pity just because you've lost your memory." When did I become this pitiful? Risking my life, pretending to have amnesia, just to get a man who never cared about me to show a little concern. Meeting her exasperated gaze, I cautiously asked, "Was I really that brainless before?" She wasn't sure if I was faking or truly forgetful, but she answered honestly, "After you met Sam, you completely lost it. You tore your heart out and handed it to him bare. Even if he stomped on it or stabbed it, you still accepted it with gratitude. Because of him, we almost ended our 20-year friendship." Her eyes reddened halfway through. Gripping my hand, she pleaded softly, "Please, stop loving him. He has no heart. No matter what you do, he'll never love you." A sharp pain split through my head as if a switch had been flipped. Tears spilled down uncontrollably. Startled, she called the doctor in a panic. After a full checkup, the doctor said it was a complication caused by oxygen deprivation. Nothing serious, but I needed rest. Hearing that, my friend finally believed I truly had amnesia. She said nothing, only looked at me with worry in her eyes. She was afraid that when my memory returned and I saw Sam marrying my sister in that grand wedding, I might not be able to handle it, and hurt myself. After a long silence, she said earnestly, "Promise me. No matter what happens in the future, don't harm yourself." I nodded. "Okay." Soon the day of my discharge came. Sam sent a driver to pick me up, but I didn't get in the car. Instead, I hailed a taxi and went somewhere else. Chapter 2. Following the fragments of memory that had returned, I arrived at a villa on the outskirts of the city. To my shock, the place had long been burned to ruins. The interior was pitch black. The doors and windows were destroyed. It looked as though it had been abandoned for years. I stood at the entrance for a long time, unable to move. "Are you here looking for someone? The family who lived here moved away many years ago." A property manager approached and reminded me kindly. "That's impossible," I blurted out. "My fiancé, no, my boyfriend, he lived here. He never told me he was moving." In my memory there was a boy named Diego. We had grown up together. Two broken souls who found warmth in each other. He was an illegitimate child, and I was the invisible daughter no one cared for. We saved each other from the darkness and became the most important person in each other's lives. There was no way he would have left without saying goodbye. The manager seemed to recall the terrible fire from that night. With a sigh he said, "The owner of this villa was burned alive." He had already escaped, but when he heard that his girlfriend was still trapped inside, he ran back into the flames and never came out again. I shook my head desperately. "No, that's impossible. I was kidnapped recently. He's the one who saved me." I remember being trapped in the cellar, water rising around me, suffocating in the dark. Just when I thought I was going to die, Diego had lifted the stone slab and pulled me out. The manager's eyes grew darker. His voice turned chilling. "Miss, have you forgotten? The young master died saving you. Later you discovered who set the fire. To avenge him, you approached Sam, but over time you betrayed the young master and fell in love with his enemy." As he finished speaking, the manager took off his wig and fake beard, revealing his real face. But I didn't recognize him at all. Seeing my confusion, his gaze softened with understanding. "I've read your medical records," he said coldly. "After inhaling all that smoke back then, your brain suffered damage. Over time it causes bouts of temporary amnesia. But the young master loved you so much. You shouldn't have forgotten him. And you should never have fallen in love with the man who killed him." So that was it. This man was Diego's butler. After I was discharged from the hospital back then, the first thing I did was plan my revenge. But things didn't go as expected. My brain began to fail me. Each morning I woke up missing a little more of my past until eventually I forgot Diego completely. Somehow, the memories of what Diego had done for me blurred and morphed into Sam's face. Little by little, I fell in love with the wrong man. I couldn't accept what the butler was saying. My head throbbed violently again. Suddenly, a memory flashed before my eyes. A raging fire. I was trapped inside, surrounded by heat and smoke. Just as I was about to collapse, a strong hand reached through the flames, gripping mine tightly. "Don't be afraid. I'll get you out of here." That voice. It was the same one that had saved me from the cellar not long ago. I gasped for air. Cold sweat dripping into my eyes, stinging until tears poured down my face. The butler saw my state and said nothing more. He turned silently and left. That night, I returned to Sam's villa. In one of the drawers I found 2 marriage certificates. They were ours. The shock of the day brought back fragments of memory. A week before the kidnapping, Sam and I had gotten legally married. He had done it out of gratitude. During a car accident, I had risked my life to save him. He'd said at the time, "I can marry you, but I won't give you a wedding." And even then I had accepted it willingly, almost gratefully. But I had forgotten one thing. I was the one who had orchestrated that car accident. I had wanted him dead, and somehow I had forgotten. Instead, I saved him. Looking down at the 2 marriage certificates, I wanted to tear myself apart. Then a voice came from behind me. "I told you not to take that out again. What if Eva sees it? You know her heart can't handle it." Sam had come home. Chapter 3. The Eva he mentioned was my sister. She had been born with a congenital heart condition. Both our parents and Sam treated her like a treasure in the palm of their hand, shielding her from any hurt. I turned to look at Sam cold. For a moment I couldn't tell whether I hated him or hated myself more. Maybe he read the hatred in my eyes. Sam paused, then blurted out, "What's your problem again? I only told you not to take that out. It's not like I'm divorcing you." I glanced down at my watch. The police should be arriving any moment. When I stayed silent, Sam assumed I was sulking. He frowned. "Can you be a little more magnanimous? Always getting jealous over your own sister. How pathetic." A second later, the housekeeper appeared to report that the police had arrived. Sam hesitated for half a beat, then recovered. Just as he reached for his phone to call his lawyer, I snatched it and slammed it hard to the floor. Sam froze at my action. The police came up the stairs, showed their badges and said, "Sir, someone reported an alleged kidnapping. Please come with us." Sam glanced at me and sneered. "So you really didn't lose your memory?" I handed the officer a voice recorder and with the same cold mockery said, "I may have amnesia, but I'm not an idiot. You hired people to kidnap me. After they dumped me in the cellar, they called you. I didn't have my phone on me, but I did bring a recorder. I meant to record the scenery. Instead, it captured evidence of your crime. Sam was taken away by the police. But it didn't threaten him much. With his powerful legal team, my little piece of evidence was quickly dismantled. And of course, they found a scapegoat. In less than a day, Sam was released. I had bribed several paparazzi. On the day he was freed, Eva personally went out to pick him up, and the paparazzi swarmed her. Ms. Eva, is it true you stole your sister's husband? Did you and Sam hold a lavish wedding on an island? Did you register it? Sam kidnapped his wife and tried to kill her to make room for you. Are you moved by that? Ms. Eva, seducing your brother-in-law, true love or just for the thrill? Eva had thought that greeting Sam as his wife would be fine. She hadn't expected to be ambushed with humiliating questions, her face twisted with anger. Sam emerged flanked by lawyers and bodyguards. Seeing Eva surrounded, he gave an order and the guards forced the paparazzi back. That was when I stepped into view, clutching the marriage certificate, and let out a plaintive sob. Sam, how can your heart be so cruel? I am your lawful wife and you sent people to kidnap me and try to kill me. You scum. Why would you do this to me? I cried in the most pitiful spotlight-ready way possible. The cameras captured my tear-streaked face and the marriage certificate in sharp focus. That contrast would win public sympathy. This was my plan to destroy Sam's reputation. A microphone was shoved in front of me. When did your sister get involved with Sam? Is your marriage certificate real? The paparazzi shouted. I kept crying and didn't answer. I held the certificate up again under the lenses. Sam grew furious. With a single look, he signaled the bodyguards. One of them moved to grab me. I lurched away in a terrified act, shouting, "Help! Sam's trying to silence me, he wants to kill me." Chapter 4. Sam couldn't afford the humiliation. He left with Eva. The remaining bodyguards quickly drove the paparazzi away when they tried to keep interviewing me. As soon as the crowd dispersed, I stopped crying. Calmly, I wiped the tears from my face, my expression returning to complete composure as if nothing had happened at all. My best friend, having heard the news, rushed over. At first, she thought I was the victim and even brought 5 or 6 bodyguards with her, only to witness a scene she never expected. Just as she was about to leave quietly, she noticed a man wearing a baseball cap hidden among the crowd. He was acting suspiciously, reaching into his pocket to pull out a folding knife. Seeing him charge toward me, my friend screamed, "Run! He's going to kill you." Before her words even faded, the man lunged. I didn't have time to dodge. The blade slashed deep across my arm and blood gushed out instantly. My friend's men rushed forward, subduing the attacker within seconds. The police station was right nearby. For someone to try killing me in front of it, it was obvious whoever sent him truly wanted me dead. I pressed on my wound, but the bleeding wouldn't stop. My friend looked from the police station to the man, then gestured for her bodyguards to throw him into a van. "Take him away." Then she rushed me to the hospital. The doctor stitched me up, more than 30 stitches. He said the cut was deep and could easily become infected, so I should stay overnight for observation. After making a few calls, my friend returned and asked, "Do you know who sent him?" The anesthesia was wearing off and pain shot through my arm. I grimaced and replied casually, "Eva." My friend nodded grimly. "Your sister's vicious. The guy she hired not only has a criminal record but also a history of mental illness. Even if he killed you, the law couldn't punish him properly. That girl with a heart condition should be doing good deeds to accumulate some virtue. Isn't she afraid of retribution? A person who's had everything handed to her since birth could never understand the meaning of karma. In her eyes, the whole world owed her something." When I didn't respond, my friend sighed. "Get some rest. I've got things to handle. I'll come back this evening." She had barely left when my parents arrived. They weren't there to check on me, they came to stand up for Eva. "Why did you bribe the paparazzi to humiliate your sister with those questions? What has she ever done to you? Sam doesn't love you. It's only a matter of time before you get divorced. Why can't you let him go gracefully?" "If he loves Eva so much," I said coldly, "then why hasn't he married her? If Sam died right now, I'd be the one inheriting his assets, not Eva. Instead of lecturing me, you should convince him to divorce me first." Looking at their faces, I realized just how stupid I used to be. How I tried to earn their affection by playing the obedient daughter, by being filially foolish. They never liked me. The reason was simple. My grandmother left everything to me: company shares, funds, savings. She left nothing to my parents or Eva. My grandmother had never approved of my parents' marriage, but she adored me. To please her, my parents often used me to curry favor, but it never worked. Her affection for me was genuine, and it belonged to me alone. That drove them mad, especially after discovering they had inherited nothing. All these years, they enjoyed everything I provided while despising me at the same time. From now on, they would get nothing more from me. Chapter 5. Seeing my sudden change in attitude, Mom didn't confront me directly. Instead, she turned to Dad and snapped, "Look at the daughter you raised. Say one thing to her and she shoots back 100. People always say children are a parent's debt. We shouldn't have had her in the first place." I answered back coolly, "If you hadn't been pregnant with me, you wouldn't even have been allowed through this family's front door." Grandmother's dislike of Mom had a lot to do with Mom's low education and poor family background. If Mom hadn't been pregnant, especially if it hadn't been a boy, Grandmother never would have allowed her in. On the day I was born, Mom had tried to pull a switch, the old trick of secretly swapping babies, but Grandmother brought several doctors with her to test DNA on the spot. The first time Grandmother saw me, she was disappointed. I wasn't a boy. As she prepared to turn away, I smiled at her and grabbed her finger, refusing to let go. Maybe it was blood, maybe it was pity, or maybe she softened. Grandmother accepted me. What she couldn't accept was that Mom had allegedly used tricks to get in. Mom was furious when I said that. She screamed at me, "Now that you're bold, you look down on me, don't you? If you keep looking down on me, I'm still your mother. If you're so capable, go die and give your life back to me." I looked her straight in the eye and said word by word, "I already gave my life to you long ago." On the second day I was locked in that cellar half conscious, I heard voices outside. They assumed I was unconscious and that I couldn't hear them. They debated whether to pump poison into the cellar to kill me, or to leave me to die slowly. They were my parents. Sam had kidnapped me and put me in the cellar. He hadn't intended to kill me, only to keep me there for a few days. But Eva found out and deliberately told our parents. The three of them had wanted my fortune for a long time. Now they saw their chance. They ran a tailpipe into the cellar. If they hadn't been afraid of being found out and had stayed longer, I would have been dead. They tried to kill me. It's a pity I didn't record that conversation. Otherwise I'd have had them in prison. Mom opened her mouth to argue, but when she met my indifferent gaze, she turned away, guilty and silent. Dad adopted his kindly father pose and said, all right, you know how your mother is. She's sharp with her words but soft at heart. She cares for you. When she heard you were hurt, she rushed over. Don't argue with her." I sneered. "Do you even know who that mentally unstable man was that she hired?" The reason I didn't call the police wasn't magnanimity. It was because I wanted revenge. My parents exchanged a look, panic flickering across their faces. They started calling Eva and rushing back home. I smiled with contempt at their hurried retreat. Then my friend sent me a video. In the clip, the mentally disturbed man was wild-eyed, completely out of control, and the place he'd been sent from was my parents' house. Eva had just gotten out of the car when she was slashed across the face. The video ended with her terrified scream. The next morning, Sam personally came to pick me up from the hospital. I had expected fireworks, but we were both eerily calm, still as a stagnant pond. Back at his villa, he asked slowly, "Was that unstable man sent by you?" I played dumb. "What are you talking about? I don't understand." He lost his temper. "Why would you hurt Eva? I kidnapped you and never meant to hurt you. I only wanted to make Eva's dream of being a bride come true. The doctor says Eva's heart can't hold up much longer. You're her biological sister. Why can't you be magnanimous?" I took out the marriage certificate and said flatly, "You make a persuasive argument. Let's get a divorce right now. Let her be your wife." Chapter 6. Sam froze for a moment. Back then, I had forced him into registering our marriage out of gratitude for saving his life. Now I agreed to a divorce with a few words as if everything were a game. For a moment, Sam couldn't tell which version of me was real. Too scared to sign? Pathetic. I deliberately provoked him. His expression didn't flare. If anything, he grew calmer. What happened to you? You're like a different person. I said nothing. He didn't want to argue either. As he turned to leave, I gathered every ounce of strength and shoved him down the stairs. Weightless, he tumbled, slamming against the steps. Because I used so much force, the wound on my arm burst open, blood seeping through the gauze, staining my blouse. The housekeeper ran over when she heard the noise. At the bottom of the stairs, Sam clutched his forehead, stunned. I stood at the landing on the second floor, the corner of my mouth lifting in a small, almost amused smile. Sam was shocked. He'd never dreamed I would push him down a flight of stairs. In his eyes, I had loved him to death. Now I had become relentless. We stared at each other across the distance, both of us knowing there was no turning back. He didn't accuse me. I didn't speak. We simply watched each other in silence. After a while, he turned and left. I called after his retreating back loud enough for him to hear. Sam, you better sign the divorce papers. He faltered for a step but didn't look back. A week passed. I returned once more to the villa outside the city and found the property manager, hoping to extract more information. Over the past week, I had tried everything: hypnosis, psychological suggestion, even considered a nasty blow to my head, though I feared that might make things worse. Still, I couldn't remember more. I felt shrouded in fog, unable to sort truth from lie. The manager wasn't surprised to see me again. This time he handed me a small box. Inside lay a ring. This is the ring the young master used to propose. Do you remember? He asked. I took the ring. There was no recognition at all. Could Diego still be alive? I asked the question I'd been holding in. The manager hesitated, then shook his head. Impossible. I was the one who recovered the young master's body. But when I was trapped in the cellar, nearly drowned, it was Diego who came and saved me. You must be mistaken, the manager interrupted. I checked who had taken me to the hospital. Those records showed a stranger who passed by, not Diego. Yet I knew, with the clarity of a memory, that the person who saved me and the one who brought me to the hospital were not the same. Was my memory warped? Or was Diego alive but unable to see me? Seeing my blank, searching face, the manager told me plainly. Sam hired someone to set the house on fire and kill the young master. What you are doing now is avenging him. Why would he do that? I asked. Because the Sam family wanted to swallow up Diego's family. The other sons in Diego's clan were weak, no threat to Sam's house. But the young master was different. A business genius who would one day be recognized by his family. Sam acted first and removed him. I fell silent, the manager's words ringing in my ears. Something still felt off, but I couldn't pinpoint it. Before I left, the manager pressed a small packet into my hand. It's colorless, tasteless, and highly toxic. If you truly love the young master, you'll know what to do with it. I hesitated, then took it. Chapter 7. In the days that followed, I devoted myself fully to the doctor's treatment. During this time of confusion, when I couldn't distinguish truth from illusion, I didn't want to do anything I might regret for the rest of my life. So I decided to stop all action, to no longer be anyone's weapon. That day, as soon as I stepped into the house, Sam grabbed me by the throat and shouted, "What the hell are you doing? Tell your people to release Eva. Her heart's weak. If she gets agitated, she could die." His grip choked me, cutting off my air. I fought back, swinging a fist that landed squarely on his temple. He cried out and threw me aside. I gasped for air, and before I could recover, my parents arrived. My mother fell to her knees before me, crying, "If you have any grudge, take it out on me. Don't hurt Eva. She can't take any shock." My father glared at me with pure hatred. "You monster. You've already ruined Eva's face, and now you want her dead. Your heart's more poisonous than a viper's." Even if I didn't know the details, it wasn't hard to guess. Eva was in trouble, and they were certain I was behind it. Once I caught my breath, I took out my phone and called the police. Mom lunged for it. The kidnapper said not to call the cops, or they'll kill her. "So you know it wasn't me," I said coldly. "Then why are you here harassing me?" I could tell they knew I wasn't behind it. They'd just come to test me, to see my reaction. If I denied it, they'd find another way to use me. In the end, they just wanted to drag me into the mess. Sam finally realized what was happening. He turned a hard stare on my mother. "Didn't you swear it was her behind it?" Why are you changing your story now? Mom froze under his glare, stammering. She's always been vicious and jealous of Eva. Even if she didn't do it, she deserves a lesson. Sam's face darkened instantly. A man of his status being manipulated by such a woman, it enraged him. But finding Eva was the priority. Revenge could wait. Seeing there was nothing useful to gain from me, the three of them hurried out. I touched my neck. The bruises were still there, throbbing faintly with pain. At that moment I made a decision. While I was in the lab testing on white mice, my best friend called. Did you hear? Your precious sister's been kidnapped. Her tone was almost amused, without a trace of pity. I was surprised the news had spread at all. Knowing Sam, he would have suppressed it completely. Where did you hear that? I asked. The psycho's family posted the abuse video online after your parents refused to pay. The clip's been taken down now though. The psycho she meant was the same man Eva had hired to kill me, who, after failing, had his madness triggered and ended up slashing her face instead. After injuring Eva, he'd been sent to a mental hospital. Later, his parents found proof on his phone that he and Eva had been in contact. They blackmailed her for money. She paid once, but that only fed their greed. They kidnapped Eva, demanding 10 million yuan in ransom. My parents had no money, but Sam's family did. The problem was, instead of paying, my parents and Sam came to pick a fight with me, wasting precious time. The kidnappers thought they refused to pay and uploaded the abuse video online. My friend kept rambling on the phone while I sprinkled the last bit of powder into the cage. Moments later, the mouse convulsed, foaming at the mouth, and died. Poetic justice, my friend remarked. She tried to sick a mad dog on you, and in the end she's the one who got bitten. Karma. I smiled faintly, saying nothing. The next day, Eva was rescued. She was barely recognizable. Her body and spirit both shattered. Sam came to me, unusually subdued. I was wrong. I shouldn't have believed them or threatened you. I handed him a cup of tea. No need to apologize. Just sign the divorce papers. Think of it as compensation. He looked down at the tea, calm and unblinking. Did you remember something? I nodded. Yes. I remembered. The man I love isn't you. It's Diego. His death had nothing to do with me, he said. I smiled softly. I know. The manager had lied to me, claiming Sam ordered the fire to eliminate Diego as a rival. But according to my own investigation, Diego's family would never have handed him power. He wasn't a threat to anyone. Sam had no reason to risk exposure to kill a non-existent rival. So I concluded Diego was still alive. He had used us all to disappear, to escape a life where he was already marked for death. His own family wanted him gone. That fire, he likely started it himself. He just hadn't expected his loyal servant to keep fighting for revenge even after his supposed death. Sam drank the tea in one gulp and signed the divorce papers. Even though our marriage had been brief, he still gave me a large portion of his assets. I didn't want them. What grandmother left me was more than enough for a lifetime. Half a year later, in a small town far from the city, I found Diego, alive, married and with a child. So he hadn't died after all. He was the one who had pulled me out of the cellar that night. When I saw him, 1,000 emotions twisted inside me. Shock, disbelief, something that felt like relief, and something darker beneath it. It was as if he had been expecting me. His first words were an apology. I'm sorry, he said softly. Did I ruin your life again? And then the truth came out. After faking his death, he had hired someone to hypnotize me, to erase every memory of him. Later, when he saw that I had feelings for Sam, he manipulated my mind again, replacing all our memories together with memories of Sam, making me believe I loved another man. In other words, every piece of suffering in my life had started with him. I asked, why did you do that to me? He answered quietly, I just wanted you to be happy. That kind of happiness was disgusting. To love someone without knowing why, to have those feelings fabricated and planted, it was revolting. I didn't respond. At the end we sat together, sharing a cup of tea instead of wine, raising our cups to wish each other a better future. Only I had slipped something into his tea. He would not have a beautiful future. The poison wouldn't kill him, but it would make him suffer for years. That was his retribution. After that, I packed my bags and left the town behind. I never returned. My life finally was beginning.